Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Aquarius for August 2015. Go to my website, aspiritualspark.com, and there you will find more information about my personal live coaching, also more information about my 28-day virtual coaching program called Shine, which is available on a sliding scale, and you will see my new class called Unleash Your Money Magnet. And this is the first of a series of webinars that I'm going to be having available to assist you with the top things that people come to have personal sessions with me about. I want to make the type of assistance that I give in personal readings more accessible to people who I can't meet with personally, and these webinars are going to do amazing for that. So go to my site and check it out under classes and webinars and sign up now. While you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter and become part of my community. Okay, so what is going on in the month of August? We are, first of all, starting to have our effects from the eclipses. I'm not going to go into the eclipses in depth until September. But in September, we're going to have 2 eclipses, and in August, we will likely start to feel the news come in, the information, the new storylines beginning, just as we are still carrying forth the energies from the previous eclipse cycle. In the spring, this new layer of stories start to come in. And so August is very much covered with the energy of the eclipses, even though they're not officially happening yet. But what is happening is this tremendous continued focus on your relationship sector. We've already had this be a theme for a long time. You've been hearing me talk about this because Jupiter has been accentuating your house of relationships. And now by this time, since we're at the end, August 11th marks the end of Jupiter being in Leo and it goes into Virgo. So we've been now, every Aquarius has had Jupiter's effects in some way or another in their 7th house. If you are a late middle or late degree placement of Aquarius, you still have quite a bit more time of Jupiter accentuating your 7th house. For the rest of you, it's starting to move into the 8th house. There's some similarities between Jupiter in the 7th and Jupiter in the 8th because the 7th and 8th houses are both partnership houses. The 7th house is the house of one-on-one relationships. So not only do you have this continued focus because Jupiter is either there or for a little longer or for a lot longer, or it's moving into the other section of relationships, but specifically in August, you have Venus retrograde in the 7th house. You have Mercury in the 7th house. You have the Sun in the 7th house. Some of you soon are going to have Mars in the 7th house. And all of you who are middle to later who don't have some of these planets in that 7th house, this is coming a little bit later. So what I'm talking about for you might be staggered a little bit, but still, because Jupiter's there, relationships are just the major focus. For every planet that is in a house, that's like another person at a party bringing a certain vibe. I very much associate a cluster of planets in a certain house or in a certain sign as like being at a party. Really, since the house is the placement, the house is like the party. And the sign that they're in is like the mood of the people at the party, and the people at the party are the planets. So you have this huge party with all of these planets mostly in a Leo mood, about to start to become some of them in a Virgo mood at this party, and they're bringing all the different things that they bring. So Mars brings energy and focus and action. Most of you are still going to have that in your 6th house of lifestyle and diet and pets and your workday sector and things in your general surroundings. You'll have a lot of energy focused there still. But the rest of you will have Mars starting to move into the 7th house, and all of you will have it there eventually. Most of you are going to have the sun there, this giant spotlight. How we always talk about the sun is like it's this big light that comes in and you see everything more clearly, and it's warm and it has vitality, and so it can bring more warmth to your relationships, but it can also bring a spotlight, and a spotlight can show you things that are wrong with it. And with Venus being retrograde in there, pretty much everyone is reconsidering their relationship in some way, whether that's looking back over it with love and gratitude and excitement about moving forward with this person, or whether it's doubt as to whether or not they should be moving forward with this person. I recorded an extensive, very in-depth talk about Venus retrograde. So I highly recommend that you, when you're finished with this video, go search for Venus retrograde on my YouTube channel, because there's a lot that's wrapped up into that, and I can't cover that in each of the horoscopes. I would dominate the whole time. But you really need to know these things, because Venus rules love, beauty, and money, and there are certain things it's not a good idea to do, and there are certain things it is a good idea to do, and this is really especially relevant for you with your relationships and any business connections you have with people, because Venus is in retrograde in this house of relationships. So while the whole world is doing this Venus retrograde thing, you're doing this Venus retrograde with Venus ruling the 7th house in your 7th house. So this is like people coming back from the past to be reconsidered, unresolved issues from the past being reconsidered, people who you were in business with or who you knew bringing business opportunities. So you'll want to look at the Venus retrograde guide so that you can assess what to do here. The general rule of Venus retrograde, unless there's something really superseding in your chart or intuitively that has to be done, but the general rule is don't make any big commitments or agreements or big decisions when Venus is in retrograde. You're going to be reconsidering many things, and you might feel like you're ready to make a decision about something, like something's coming to a head and you have to make a decision about it. Venus retrograde is not the time to make a decision about it. It's the time to assess it. It's the time to evaluate it and to pick it up and just look at every single part of it. That's what it's time to do. So you're also going to have the new moon on August 14th. We have, okay, so the hot spots here, we've got August 11th, Jupiter's going into Virgo, but like we said, that is an important date, but not all that much becomes very significant on that date, because many of you are still going to have Jupiter moving through your 7th house, even though it's moved into the sign that rules your 8th house. August 14th, we have the new moon in Leo, and that's going to open up a new window of opportunity in your house of relationships. So it could be a new client, a new level of your current relationship. Many people are going to pull in an extramarital or extra relationship situation on the side with this type of transit. One huge caution that I talked about in the retrograde video that I'm going to lay out here, because the odds of it happening are greater here with all this lineup. If you are in a relationship and someone comes out of the blue that sweeps you off your feet and seems too good to be true, they probably are. Try to not make any decisions that's going to give you problems to deal with that could be irreparable in your relationship. Even if you seem completely overwhelmed, like you can't help yourself, make discerning decisions, because when you meet someone when Venus is in retrograde, you're not seeing them clearly. There's unless you know them from the past and they're coming back and you're reevaluating them, even then you're still not seeing clearly. So if someone comes and you've never met them before and Venus is in retrograde, don't marry them. Don't give them a bunch of money. Don't, move in with them. You've got to be level-headed here. This is a time when people go nuts. It's just a wild type of energy, and it becomes overwhelming where you want to do the things exactly that you're not supposed to do, like spend a bunch of money on luxury items or make investment or business decisions and make big relationship decisions. You're not supposed to be doing that. And this is going to be really hard for you, especially because all this energy is just like this party of the relationship house is just off the charts. So then on August 29th, we're going to have a full moon in Pisces, and you're going to all have this happen in your 1st house. So whenever there's a full moon in your 1st house, there's some sort of crisis of self. Sometimes it involves something with a health issue, mental or physical or spiritual health issue. And sometimes it's just like this welling up of feeling like maybe sorry for yourself. A lot of times it's like when there's a full moon in the 1st house, it's like the energy of, what about me? There's all these things going on. What about me? All these places where you're not taking care of yourself, or you don't feel supported. It's like this coming to a head of these things. You can see how this is related to all the things in the 7th house. These links are always so fascinating to watch. Uranus continues to move through the 3rd house, or at least the sign that rules the 3rd house. Some of you will actually have this in the 3rd house, some of you won't. This is a long-term transit, very long-term. And Uranus brings upsets, things that are sudden, things that are out of the blue. Many of you will report that you have had bizarre things happen with your car or bike or other planes, trains, and automobile, boats, things suddenly. All of a sudden, a car or a vehicle or something comes to you. All of a sudden, it leaves. There's just this sporadic sparky energy of Uranus, especially in Aries, that's just like bringing this jolting energy. So you really have to be more careful for an extended period of time when you're moving your physical body or when you're operating heavy machinery, because this is just like a pressure cooker. It's not really a pressure cooker in the way of like Saturn would be more that. It's like an undercurrent where something can just happen out of the blue, and you want to have your wits about you. So just be really careful when you're moving yourself and other people. Okay, so Saturn, August 2nd, Saturn goes direct. And so that means that Saturn is finally going to be entering Sagittarius, not quite yet, because it still has to work its way through the rest of the Scorpio degrees that it retrograded into. But this picture of Saturn moving forward in your 10th house means in some ways your work questions, you can now start to move forward a little bit more with that. But then again, Venus is in retrograde, so you can't make any big decisions, you know? So there's like something that's ready to move forward, but all the pieces haven't come together yet. When people have Saturn in their 10th house transiting, this transit lasts about 2.5 to 3.5 years. And so depending on what your Aquarius placement is, you're at varying stages of this placement. And some of you, later middle and middle degree placements, you don't even have it there yet. It's in the sign that might rule there, but you're not experiencing this. This is to come. But when Saturn, whether it's happening already or brewing, Saturn in the 10th house often either brings major recognition for your work, like you're getting raises, you're getting acknowledged, you're advancing, you're getting accolades, you're getting long-term security from work that you've done in the past. It's coming now for now and in the future. So if that's the case, wonderful. Another section of people with this experience are having a crap of a time because Saturn is telling them you're not supposed to be doing this for a living, you need to do something else. And maybe it brings up, you know, that you're fired, or it brings up that you're laid off, or it brings up that there's a lawsuit involving your work, and it makes you maybe not be able to have your license anymore. You know, all these ways I've seen this Saturn energy in the 10th house come in, where that's the pressure cooker. That's really the pressure cooker, you know, where it's like, what are you supposed to be doing with your life? Because that 10th house is career, work, and life purpose. What are you supposed to be doing with your life? Many people will change their vocation while Saturn is in their 10th house. So now that it's moving forward, there's things that are going to have to be done about this eventually, you know. And but the good news is that when Saturn is in Sagittarius, as it is going into, and is going to be there for a long time, this is what Saturn wants here is for us to take the big dreams and make them a reality. And that's really cool. But what it needs is it needs you to do the little steps that add up to the big steps that make the total picture. So if you have a dream for your work, Saturn in this placement can help you make it a reality, even if it seems totally far-fetched. Saturn being there can put the pressure on you that you have to have the discipline in order to do this. That's the benefit of Saturn, you know? So I always recommend with anything with Saturn, and in this time it's in the house of your work, so involving your work things, but you can do it with anything that's, you know, a big dream that you want to have be a reality. Break it up into measurable steps. Get a huge piece of whatever, roll of paper or cardboard or something, and write a timeline. Here you are now at one end. This is where you want to be. What do you need to do every month, every day, every week? What do you need to do in what certain amount of time to bring this forward by some period of time that you've decided, you know, your end result here? That's going to be the way that Saturn will help you to make this dream a reality. So that's really exciting, and you have that support there. So I can't see what's going on in your personal chart. I'd like very much to. It is my department to help you to maximize the positive benefits and minimize the challenging aspects in your life, and to move through your life like a spiritual ninja with these ups and downs that come with these transits. You can go to my website, aspiritualspark.com, and you can see more about my personal live coaching there. Also, you can see more about my 28-day virtual coaching program called Shine, which is intended to help you bring your shine. And it's a really cool program that you can do over the month. It's 28 videos, 28 podcasts done over a full moon cycle. You can do it at your own pace. You can do it over and over again once you have it. And it's a very powerful program that helps you to get to where you want to be. Also, you can see more about my new webinars, including my first webinar called Unleash Your Money Magnet. And you can see that on my, and register for that on my classes and webinar page on my site. While you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter and become part of my community, because you get lots of perks and freebies and things that other people don't have access to or even know about. So I hope you have a wonderful August, and I'll see you next month. Bye.